This is Hkhs Sport, bringing you that heat and that far. We keeping the foot on the what? On the next. We keeping the foot on the what? On the next. And like the Tibetan Mastiff that I am, I'm applying what? Unlimited pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts his pipes. Hkhs Sport does not have a problem with the Paul George trade. Hkhs Sport doesn't have a problem with Paul George and him having the contract extension that he has. Let me say it again. Hkhs Sport doesn't have a problem with the Paul George trade to the Clippers when it happened at the time that it happened. And he does not have a problem with the Paul George max extension. Only Rudy Poo and Plum Plum brings. Classic Dolce & Troglodytes. Ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric, i.e. Lebrontards, i.e. brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo heads, i.e. LBJ Brigade, LBJ apologists, and LBJ stance have a problem with this. Paul George didn't have a full year last year to ingratiate himself with the Clippers. So he is on a grace period. Now, if he does that bullshit and fuck shit this year, he's going to be in Hkhs Sport warpath mode. And remember, when Hkhs Sport is in warpath mode, any and everybody can fucking get it. Let me say it again. When Hkhs Sport is in warpath mode, any and everybody can fucking get it. Yeah, he will fucking get it. But I have to give the assessment because I understand the realities. See, there are certain asterisks that are realities. And the reality was, this man was hurt damn near most of the fucking season last year. That's not an excuse. It's a reality. An excuse is something you can't quantify, calculate, verify, and certify. Let me say it again. An excuse is something that you can't quantify, calculate, verify, and certify. But you can quantify the fact that he was injured. You can calculate the fact that he was injured. You can certify the fact that he was injured. And you can verify the fact that he was injured. Kawhi Leonard was on Kawhi load management. And the Los Angeles Clippers had some basketball players that just clearly were fucking injured. So what are you Rudy Poo and Plum Plum brains not getting? What are you classic Dolce & Troglodytes not getting? What are you ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric not getting? When we look at Paul George, we have to ask ourselves a question here. He is the perfect mate for Kawhi Leonard. And I know this to be true because when they were clicking on all cylinders prior to the whole COVID-19 fiasco, he was doing his thing. He was being PG-13. What the fuck is pandemic P? That sounds like a pure fucking beta supreme terminology. Let me say it again. What the fuck is a pandemic P? It's a pure beta supreme terminology. Because only fucking pure beta supreme say that bullshit and that fuck shit. He's PG-13. He's Paul George. And LAR way is coming. But Lebrontards don't want to accept this. LBJ Riders Media don't want to accept this. LBJ Brigade don't want to accept this. LBJ Stance don't want to accept it. From the time they try to clown Lou Williams because he went and got some wings during the time that he went to the strip club. Or the time they try to clown Kawhi Leonard because he's on Kawhi load management. Or the time they try to clown Paul George when Paul George didn't have games. Basketball players, you know they do have bad games, right? But when LeBron James has bad games, do you Rudy Poo and Plum Plum brains get on his ass? Do you classic Dolce & Troglodytes get on his ass? Do you ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric get on his ass? He almost lost the NBA Finals to Jimmy Butler, injury-plagued Miami Heat. Let me say it again. He almost lost the NBA Finals to a Jimmy Butler, injury-plagued Miami Heat. That shit shouldn't have gone to 6. It should have been a fucking sweep. But why did you classic Dolce & Troglodytes didn't say nothing about this? Why didn't you Rudy Poo and Plum Plum brains didn't say nothing about this? Why didn't you ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric didn't say nothing about this? It's because y'all want y'all mediocre as fuck like cake, and y'all want y'all mediocre as fuck cake to go with that fucking cake and eat it too. But in its most wholehearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true teller fashion, Hkhs Sport don't have a problem with this extension. You know why he doesn't? Because it makes sense. He's a good running mate to Kawhi Leonard. And getting him to sign a max extension tells you that he's going to be there for the long haul. Now the issue with this and the problem with this is if he doesn't deliver, if he doesn't step up to the plate to that max contract, now we have a fundamental problem. Hkhs Sport will be the first one to keep the tiger's foot on the giraffe's fucking neck if Paul George don't deliver after this season. But I already know what happened in that last season, that NBA bubble, that isolation from reality, that infinite Sukuyumi, the COVID-19. People sit here in brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo head fashion and then realize what happened in this most cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true teller fashion. They had an NBA stoppage for damn near 4 months. Where was you Rudy Poo and Plum Plum brains? Where was you classic Dolce & Troglodytes? Where was you ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric? They had a stoppage. But the stoppage ain't there no more. So now we're going to get a real NBA title. Now we're going to get a real NBA season under our belt. And now we can really test the LAR way for what they are. Are they real or are they pretenders? Let me say it again. Are they real or are they pretenders? This season will denote that in its most cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true fashion. But for right now, He Knows the Sport gives Paul George the biggest salute of the damn day for this max extension. And LAR Way is going to do their thing because they have Tyronn Lue, who is already there. So that's why I like it, because he already understood the Doc Rivers system. Now he's just going to ingratiate it into his own way. So it's going to continue to be LAR Way. So LAR Way is coming, just like Brooklyn Nets is coming. What is the Lakers going to do when a real NBA season is around and not a bullshit and fuck shit least path of resistance NBA title? Fraudulent, fluky, on-the-spot NBA title or NBA pickup game is happening. We're going to see when they get tested to the fire if they're not going to get LeBron. Let me say it again. We're going to see when they get tested under the fire if they're not going to get LeBron. But they are going to get burned. Because when it's all said and done, when it's real obstacles, real challenges, and real events, LeBron James always folds under the low pressure. That's the cold-hearted, that's the unadulterated, that's the cutthroat true fashion. I keep the foot on the what? On the X. I keep the foot on the what? On the X. This is He Knows the Sport. Checking out.